This is the section that we're going to pay attention to now, called the dorsal hinge, or what? Ribs? There are three different parts that we work with the dorsal hinge area. The first part I'm going to address is the sacrum. And we address the sacrum first through the ASIS by placing the palms of our hands over the ASIS and pressing down on one side and then the other, and then we can press down on both simultaneously to feel what kind of give is in the sacroiliac joints. The problem that occurs is the student will be standing there and they're going to be pressing on the ASIS and they're not really sure, the pressing is fast and you're not really sure they're feeling the sacrum. So one thing that will help is telling them, one, to slow down and to feel with the palms of their hands, and the other thing is to move their body closer to the center of the client's body, so you'll have a more equal pressure on both sides than if you're just standing on one side. It's really helpful to have at least your nose over the center of their body, and then trying to press down at the same pressure on both of them and just feeling where you feel the give and where you don't feel the give. Do you have anything to add, Sandra?
The corrected position felt much more reassuring to me. It didn't feel, well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The second part of the dorsal hinge is feeling the ribs. And these are ribs 10, 11, and 12. And you start close to the spine, and with your fingertips or your pads you move out. And then you move back in so that you can feel what's happening to these very important ribs, because they have so much to do with what's happening in your pelvic cavity and your sacroiliac area. And you're just evaluating them. So you find the rib and you press one and then the other and you go out. Then you find the next rib and go out, and you find the third rib and go out. The third part of the dorsal hinge area is really working down the transverse processes of the lumbar spine. And they're, it's about 3 inches apart. So if you're trying to figure out where that is, if you look at the center of the body, you're about 1.5 inches away from the center of the body on each side. So then you come under and you press on either side and feel where's the most give or where is there resistance to give. Move down a vertebrae and feel again both sides. Moving down, feel both sides. Moving down, feel both sides. So you do that with the entire lumbar vertebrae. The problem is that people are too wide, so they're in the musculature. They're out here in the musculature. And you're not really having that much of an effect on the lumbar vertebrae when you are too wide and in the musculature. You'll feel the right place because the muscles go in, and then you're right on that inside line, and you can go right down and really feel for the give that those vertebrae have. The last part of the dorsal hinge is working the sacrum from underneath. The problem here is you bring your hands under, and if it's hard to slide your hands under, you will find yourself on the ilia and not on the sacrum. The solution to that is to slide your hands under, turn them over, and check to make sure the tips of your fingers are touching each other in the middle, and then slide away 1/2 inch. And then put your pressure straight up into the sacrum. So I wanted to show you how easy it is when you put your hands here to feel the first hard thing, which is the posterior superior iliac spine, or the PSIS, and that's why you have to bring your fingers right toward the middle. If you find the ASIS and you bring your hands right under that, you're going to be at exactly the right place, which is S2. Another problem with beginning ZBers is that their hands are too superior on the sacrum and they're at S1, and that can actually cause a little discomfort between S1 and L5. So being at S2, S3, S4, S5 is really what's important in doing this sacral work. Sometimes with certain people it's difficult to get under their sacrum, and you can get these food service gloves at a local food establishment or a big box store. Slide them on, and in this situation you don't even have to turn your wrists over under the person to get under. You just slide right under, and there you are. Sometimes you just can't get under the sacrum by standing over the person. So in those situations I'll sit at the side and I'll come into the middle and I'll put my fulcrum in right from underneath while sitting down. How does that feel, Sandra?
That feels very good, and I like this as an alternative.